Hi, so this is another session of math and science lessons with Olalekan Badmus, and today we are learning science, the structure of an atom. We are learning to 1. Define an atom, 2. Define matter, 3. Describe an element and relate it to an atom, 4. We'll also be learning to build an atom using a simulation, and that's a practical class. Alright, so let us dive in quickly. So what is an atom? Now, every living and non-living thing is made up of atoms. I'll say that again. Every living and non-living thing is made up of atoms. Now, so these are examples of living things and non-living things. As you can see the images on the screen, examples of living things: birds of the air, butterflies, trees, flower, dog, elephant, right, like that, humans. And for non-living things, you can see chair, house, basketball, ceiling fan, right, all of these images on the screen. So how then can we differentiate between both living things and non-living things? You see that living things are things that have life in them, right? They have life in them. Why non-living things are things that do not have life in them? And I want to believe that you know the characteristics of living things, right? You can recognize living things by their characteristics, right? So all living things and non-living things, again, are made up of atoms. Every living and non-living thing is made up of atoms. So that's something to take note of. Now, every living and non-living thing is matter. Every living and non-living thing is matter. So what then is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and can take up space. So what do we refer to as mass? What is mass? Mass is simply how heavy or light an object is, right? Mass is simply how heavy or light an object is, right? What that means is that you can measure. All right, when you take a measurement of how heavy or light something is, right, you say, oh, you are measuring its mass, right? You are measuring its mass. So everything on earth has mass, hence is matter. Everything on earth has mass, hence it's matter, right? Now, so as long as anything has mass, right, you can measure, you can ascertain how heavy or light that thing is, right? And then it can take up space, right? It can take up space. That thing is matter. So every living and non-living thing is matter. So from the images, right, you have that's on the screen right now, you see that both living things and non-living things, you see that it's possible to measure their masses, and you also see that each of them takes up space, right? Each of them takes up space. So all of these living things and non-living things are called matter. They are all matter, right? So again, from what we have seen before, how that living things, right, and non-living things, they are all composed of atoms. They are all made up of atoms, right? We can also see that matter is made up of atoms, right? Matter is made up of atoms. Now, so look at the screen. You see the images on the screen. These are examples of matter, right? You see there's a football, there's a light bulb, there's a pencil, there's a pen, there's a pair of dividers, there's a basketball. You know, there are even images of a boy and a girl, right? That's to tell you, right, that both living and non-living things, right, are called matter. They are all matter because their masses can be measured. They all possess mass, right? And also they take up space. So you see all of these object images on the screen, right? They all have masses, their respective masses, and they can also take up space, right? So matter is anything that has mass, right, and can take up space. Now, all these things, both human and material, contain element. All these things, both human and material, contain element. Now, what is an element? An element is made up of atoms. An element is made up of atoms. Now, every element has unique atoms, right, that make it different from other elements in living and non-living things. Every element you see, right, has its own unique atoms that make it different from other elements in living and non-living things. We've established, all right, the fact that that living and non-living things, they are all called matter, right? That and matter also is made up of atoms, right? So here matter all right, contains elements, right? And every element has its own unique atoms, right? Has its own unique atom. So if you follow that order, we see that first we have living and non-living things, right? They are called matter, right? From matter we have elements, right? All matter, right, are composed, right, are made up of element, then element of atoms. So an element is made up of atoms, and an element has, you know, its own unique atoms, right, that make it different, right, from other elements. So all living and non-living things are made up of elements. All living and non-living things are made up of elements, right, then atoms, right? All living things are made up of elements, right, then atoms. So in this order, living and non-living things, then they are called matter, right? So from matter, right, elements are found in matter, right, then atoms are found in elements. I want to believe you understand that order. So you see that gold is an element, right, that contains gold atoms. Don't forget I mentioned that an element has its own unique atoms, right? So here you see that gold is an element that contains gold atoms. Silver also is an element that contains silver atoms, right? And both of them, gold and silver, they are elements found within the earth crust. Now each possesses unique and similar atoms. Both gold and silver, each of them, right, possesses unique and similar atoms, like we have seen before. So humans also possess elements. Humans also possess elements, each with its own unique atoms. An example is that the stomach contains an acid which constitutes the element hydrogen, chlorine, and oxygen, right? These three elements, right, found in the stomach of humans. And you see this element, right, each element has its own unique atoms. Hydrogen as an element possesses hydrogen atoms. Chlorine as an element possesses chlorine atoms. Oxygen as an element, right, possesses oxygen atoms. So each element has its own atoms, right, and they are found in both living and non-living things. We've seen the examples of gold and silver as non-living things. We're also seeing the example of humans as living things, and how both living and non-living things, they contain elements, right? And element has, all elements, right, have, you know, their own unique atoms. So now, having explained that, we're going to see how to describe, right, and build an atom using PhET simulation. We're going to see how to describe and build an atom using PhET simulation. And as you can see on the screen, right, that's the next thing to do. But that will be explained in the next video, as it is a practical class, right? It's a practical session, so it will be explained well in the next video, and more so in the next video. All right, we're also going to see elements, right? Types of examples of element, all the elements we have, and those ones that you need to know, all right, at your level. So we are going to see that in the next videos. All right, so I hope that lesson was effective enough to help your understanding and to help you learn better. I want to believe that you've gotten better than before. So if you have not subscribed, do well to do that. Subscribe, like, and share to everyone around you so you can get more notifications. Thank you. Bye.